what's up, music people? Cool episode tonight, today, whenever. Um, the group interview podcast thing is still a little bit new for me, so hopefully you guys can get some of the same enjoyment you get out of the individual interviews. But it's a really cool format. It's, kind of just five guys sitting around a table as opposed to two guys. But today we have Zero Detail. They're a group from Houston and the surrounding areas that I've actually gone ahead and joined up with. I'm going to play drums and maybe melodica, whatever these guys don't want to play. I'll be playing with them on stage. So we've I've signed on with them, and we're currently looking to book some shows, of course, and write some new music. So need a band for an event, then you can pay us lots of money. That'd be cool. I do want to have, there's a few disclaimers for this episode. Unlike the other episodes that we've done, there are some times where we use some colorful language. It's five grown-ups sitting around a table, and there's going to be a few curse words. I thought it would be better to preserve that, like, conversation as organic as possible and not censor it necessarily. But since that is sort of a new thing, it's not necessarily something you've come to expect, I wanted to make that evident right up top. So just so you can be aware, it should have the little iTunes explicit whatever pop-up thing, just so you know. So there's that. I also, a new thing that I wanted to do, since I'm started to pick up some more shows, give you guys some dates. I'm going to be playing around the Houston area quite a bit over the summer, so I wanted to share some of those dates if you guys were interested to come and see me play. So the first group I'm going to share with you guys is the Woodlands concert band. It's a neat little community band, rehearsals kind of right down the street, and we've got our big summer show coming up. We're gonna have two dates, and so it'll be the 22nd of June at 7:30 p.m. That's going to be at the Woodlands Community Presbyterian Church, and the 25th of June at the Christ Church United Methodist at 7 p.m. So there's a Wednesday and a Sunday show. So if you would like, you can catch one of those. We're also going to be doing a July 4th little event. I think it seems like 8 in the morning. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I'll post about it as soon as this comes up. All of this hopefully will end up on the bands in town, and so you can look at the events portion of the website as soon as I get those up there. Should be pretty soon. Coming up next would be the Hits Theater, which is like an educational theater. It's really cool. I'd love for you guys to check out and see what they're doing. They just got finished with a weekend of Peter Pan shows. They're actually doing Peter Pan all summer with they have like a beginners and a juniors group, they call it. If you want to see exactly what that means, come check out the shows. The shows will be the 23rd of June, the 22nd and the 23rd of July, 28th of July, the 4th of August, and the 19th and 20th of August. Again, that's the Hits Theater. That's down in the Heights, so if you're looking for something to do on one of those days, it's really good. I'm really digging what they're about over there. Also at Hits on the 8th and 9th of July, I'm going to be playing Sideshow. Peter Pan most of the summer, Sideshow a little bit as well there with different groups, but still through Hits Theaters. Check that out. The last thing I'll share with you guys is you may have seen me before, maybe heard me talk about Joe Burleson's Uptown Jazz. So much fun to play with those guys. We've got a few shows coming up. Thankfully, it's kind of easier to remember. We play the first Monday of every month, with a few notable exceptions, but none coming up. We have the first Monday at 7:30 at the Do-Si-Do Big Barn there in Spring. You can look that up. I'll put links to the website. Should be on every event. But You can see me there on the 3rd of July, 7th of August, and the 4th of September. The next few shows are also on there, but those are just next. Last thing I really want to talk about, and something I think that you guys should check out if you feel inclined to do so, is the Houston Pride celebration. I went last year. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It's just a really good time if you feel so inclined, or if you're on the fence about going to an event like that. Please do yourself a favor and at least go for a little bit. If you're in the area, it's not too expensive to get in. It's not too expensive to have some fun. And I'm a huge proponent of equality, and I have lots of friends that are part of the LGBT community, and also just I'm friends with a lot of allies. That's a big part of who I am is the equality and the outreach thing. So just because it's a few steps not necessarily pertinent to music, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, but I do want to let you guys know that a lot of musicians and artists go to that, and it's a good place to meet some folks and expand your mind a little bit, something you don't normally do. So the intros won't normally be this long, but I had a few things to share with you guys, and did want to mention Pride a little bit. So without further ado, here is Zero Detail.
Yeah, I had about 10 for you.
Yeah, I invited Trey, and I invited Jig and his posse of Indians.
He was 10 to 12.
He's pretty cool.
So we're going.
Oh yeah?
Hello.
As of right now. So this is always going to be a work in progress, the group podcast thing, but if I will do silly host things, and so you guys can make fun of me if you want.
Look at your glasses, nerd.
Fucking nerd.
Let me see first. Oh, it actually sounds really good. Okay. So yeah, I am sitting here with the Zero Detail dudes. So it's a good way to kick off summer, I think. Playing some shows, writing some music, and talking with some guys. So first, thanks guys for coming on my weird show.
Thanks for having us.
Hello. It's not that weird.
Well, some people.
I feel super awkward right now, just so you know.
That's good. That's fun. That's a good place to start. So yeah, it's supposed to be as organic and fun and whatever. If the cat's making noise or you guys want a cookie, just eat a cookie. It's fine.
Can I eat a cookie like in the mic?
If you want,
Preferably.
and I'm gonna have to. I mean,
Yeah, let the people listening know that you're actually eating a cookie. They gotta be able to feel the cookie.
That is-
Sound like you're eating
that
it.
is
Open
one
it up.
thing.
Open it
I'll
up.
never be able to.
Oh, I feel so jealous for everybody listening who cannot smell these cookies.
these cookies are pretty
They're
fantastic.
still warm.
Almost gone now.
That's the
Actually,
sound of
Mom.
cookies.
I guess who made those cookies?
Maybe. Not powers.
Not Powers makes everything, so we should know. One of the things I like to do with bands is to hear the sort of origin story, and I'm the newest member, so I'm
Welcome.
gonna know the least. Well, thanks, guys. But yeah, I mean,
Who the fuck left their phone on, John?
the host.
It's his podcast. He can do
The
what he
host
wants.
can do whatever he wants.
Wow. So rude.
Rude. But so tell me somebody who's been in longer. How did you guys start? How did we get together and start making music?
It actually, I'll go. I'll go.
Oh,
I'll go.
volunteering. Okay.
Yeah,
David
yeah.
wants to tell
Fuck
us
you,
story.
Alex.
No, so Alex and I have known each other since middle school. So we've been friends quite a long time. It's been a very fun friendship. We love to hate each other, and cause each other physical pain.
All right.
But we were friends all through middle school, high school, and we were always making separate musical works, just really dumb stuff, things that were funny.
Sure.
Just you go back and listen to some of them, and they're just like, what? Wow.
Yeah. Like we'd be in the classes where you'd have projects in the year. And some people would do like boring presentation, like we do poster and stuff. Other people would do music stuff. We would do music stuff. Yeah,
That's cool.
fucking nerd.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good place to get started. I mean,
Well,
if you-
it's not done yet, John. If you would quit interrupting.
I won't. I refuse. Obviously.
No, and then we both went to different colleges, and during our time in college, Alex and Matt met each other, and they started playing in their own band. We still maintained our friendship, Alex and I, through college, and we'd still hang out every time we were back in the same town and go visit each other, whatever. And then we came back and we graduated, got our own job, and I kind of had this idea. I want to start making an album and doing like guest artists for different songs. I said, hey, Alex, you want to do this? And then Matt and Robert had to come over one time. He invited them to come over and play, and then my idea never took off. We never did that. We just kept playing with Matt and Robert for a while.
Robert was our first drummer. Matt and I knew him. Well, Matt knew him probably longer. You knew him in high school, right?
Yeah, I've known him since junior high.
Yeah. Really, dang. So yeah, you knew him since junior high. I met him first actually in at university.
I met him first.
Well, okay. As far as I guess you're right. Well, as far as like the rest of the band, I guess the second one I meet him in. But I met him before I met you.
So I met you actually.
I'm so glad that finally happened.
It's been really awkward.
I know.
on
I wonder
stage
who
when
this guy
people
was
do
next
it.
to me.
Yeah. But we were in a basketball band in college, me and Robert. Robert and I were roommates. And Matt, we jammed a lot. We had our own little band in college. We played a couple of shows, and then we all ended up living in North Houston area. So we still are. Brought Taylor into the group, and then Taylor and Brad. So then Brad joined the group.
Yeah, we had a couple songs. We jammed together for a while, just me, Matt, Alex, and Robert. And then after we had some material together, we were looking really hard for a vocalist. We tried out a couple people. Had Brad come along. He said he was interested. And so I met Brad. I met him through a friend of mine in high school. Her name was Sarah Heptig, and she started dating one of Brad's best friends. And at that point, we just kind of merged friend groups. So I met him years and years before this actually formed, and kind of a small world of everything.
I didn't even know
Kinda
he was
melted
playing
together.
guitar until he asked me that shit. And even then, I wasn't even sure
What shit?
what about the band. I don't even remember if I was sure that what instrument you played.
I was on Snapchat and I played like a little blues lick. And you're like, hey man, seems like you're playing some blues. You play much, and then that's kind of how the
I remember
conversation
that.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we eventually met John.
Yeah, and now
We
here
were
you
like,
are.
hey, you want to drum for us?
He was like, nah. But we're like, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, basically.
But John's actually our fourth drummer.
True that.
That we encountered.
So that's one thing. That's one thing I'm interested about. And I didn't want to make it like a crap on everyone fest.
Yeah.
But I am kind of curious how that played out. But then I want to go back
I
and
think
talk.
you would be
about-
curious. I've always like wanted to know if you actually were curious on how like what we thought of the other drummers or like how that all went.
More about like how it went down. Not necessarily like about necessarily the people, but like I can imagine. But I'm curious the story about how the revolving door of drummers.
Yeah.
I think that's largely on us for not really being aware of what we needed for that role and what, not only need, but what we wanted as well. I think that's the biggest contributor to like the revolving door, I guess, so to speak. That's my opinion, though.
There's probably some truth in that, yeah.
Because like our first guy, Robert, everything was going really well, and that one I think was just a little bit different than the other two guys, because he just I really don't know what was going on, but we lost touch with him, and so we were in a position where we had to find somebody.
Yeah.
And we put on Craigslist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we finally found a guy who was interested, and he was really nice. We really liked him, and I think, like I said, we weren't conscious of what we wanted or needed until.
We actually had tried out 2 other people before we started playing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
And Alex's coworker, and then that other guy that we met on Craigslist as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Brian was the second drummer. We chose him. He was a cool guy. He had his own jam room at his house,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
which
He
is
was
nice. We
super
could
nice
finally
guy.
go over and play with an actual drum kit, because before Robert played on my electric kit
Yeah.
at my house, which was it was okay, but it's not like playing with a real kit.
Yeah.
So that was actually pretty fun. I thought playing with
It
Brian.
was. And
Yeah,
He had
it
like
was
a
space.
it was a cool space. He had a couch in there. It was his garage, so he converted it to a jam room. He had decorated. He had his kit up, it was slightly elevated. He
He was
had
nice,
a
too.
big ass TV in there. You always had we were playing with him in the fall, so football season was going on. So we always had football games on and stuff. We
Mhm.
practiced on Mondays,
Oh, right on.
Monday Night Football,
It was
or
cool.
Sunday. We practiced Sunday too. So yeah, it was
It
cool.
was a lot of fun. He was a very nice guy. Always treated us well.
Yeah. I think he had a little too much fun.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that was probably the issue. We played with him for how long? What, 2 months almost?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then we went in to go record the album, and it just didn't work out. So we had to find someone new. So we had Steven Adwell, the producer, actually played drums on those tracks for us.
Oh, okay.
In the studio.
Yeah, in the studio. And then we found Jonathan Creech.
Yeah, Stevie knows Jonathan from high school. I went to high school with him too, but we didn't really know each other too well back then. But Stevie saw him do a Facebook video, and he was at a drum competition, I think. So I got in contact with him, and then he came out and drummed with us for a little while. And he's a good drummer, a really good guy. It just kind of also didn't really work out, So.
Yeah, I mean and one of the things I think is really valuable about this discussion, why I even brought it up, is like some people starting bands, go through people and they can get really discouraged. And I mean, I think you just kind of have to find what fits.
Right.
And,
Yeah, there's a lot of levels to that, that you don't really
Mhm.
realize until after.
I mean, yeah, I'd say the best things we took from all that experience, you gotta set your standards, how you want the band to be,
Mhm.
Have fun with everything, but also, it comes time you gotta practice and stick with everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't settle for stuff. So.
Mhm.
Be as upfront as possible.
Yeah,
To
definitely.
set
That's a big
the baseline for the relationship. And as soon as you guys have kind of the boundaries defined, then you can guys let it grow. And then now you're here.
I'm here.
So we set a really high bar for you. So
We
you
told
got-
John that if he messes up even once at a show, that he's gone. So
Gone, John.
far, he hasn't done that. So
You just look at us funny.
I always look at you funny. It's not. No, I think you guys. I think we touched on.
was John's.
It did kind of hurt. I think touching on some stuff is really good to hear about bands. Transparency, like you guys said, setting standards, being aware of standards, I think is sort of the biggest takeaway for me. I just sort of left another project that was, again, great guys, great music. I think it was a lot of fun, just different directions, different goals, different ways to get, meet those goals. And so that's cool. I think that's a good sort of lesson to learn. And, I didn't want to make it too much about necessarily me joining this band, but because hopefully that story will be told sort of on stage and, through some of my blog posts and
Your Wikipedia.
Wikipedia eventually one day.
I mean, you can just make it right now while we're talking.
True that.
Are you allowed to make your own page?
That one day can be
Yeah.
this day.
I'm sure all the greats do.
I bet Al Gore made his. I mean, he did make the internet.
He did make the internet. That's something we can all agree on. It's just unequivocal. Okay, so I mean that makes sense. That there's just some folks. Actually, I know Creech. I drummed with the dude in college. You know, he was actually drummed with him in high school too before the split.
It constantly amazes me how small the world is.
This
Also, the fact
band,
that
man.
you walked in and you were playing drums, and we had our artist Justin come in to watch the performance, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" They went to middle school together.
Yeah. It's already bad enough Brad knows everybody.
Yeah, Brad literally knows everybody.
Yeah, and then how do you two know the same people?
Because College Park and Oak Ridge, we went to the
Yeah, a lot of people go to Sam Houston from the
Yeah,
Woodlands,
same.
so it's just
And then my
it's
other
just
friend
a
Alex.
cesspool of people just seeing
It's kind of
everybody. And then
kind of a good word for it.
I actually worked with one of Trey's friends from their childhood. And,
Oh, Brad's friends, you mean? But yeah.
oh
so
yeah.
This was a funny coincidence. So
Too drunk.
one time I videotaped Matt at practice, and I put him on Snapchat, which I don't usually get on Snapchat, but somebody apparently checked my story, and it's this dude from like my mom babysat, or his mom babysat my brother and I when we were in like gotta be like first, second grade, you know, like real little elementary school, and this dude works with Matt now. Apparently, he got on my story and was like, "Is that Matt Powers?" And I was like, I was very confused because he knew him, you know. But that was a really cool small world thing.
Weird. Yeah, the next day at work, he
Yeah,
talked to me about knowing Brad and everything, and just weird.
yeah,
I don't like it. I do like it. It's cool.
very cool. But now he comes out to shows and stuff every once in a while. Yeah, so that's cool too. You know, he doesn't really like our type of music, but he comes.
But he loves you. So.
Well, that's precious. And I want to get back to that. That's another thing that's really cool. You know, and how we know each other and how, you know, I like talking about like building a fan base, building a following and stuff, and that the small world thing always comes into play, especially now that we're kind of getting to the age where like we're professionals, we have jobs, you know, we're meeting people and doing the network. I do want to go back to the material. So like the EP stuff, is that what you guys have started playing? Is that like old songs, or is that stuff you guys came together and wrote with Brad, or how did that kind of come about?
So all of those were worked on together. I had the Questionable Intentions. The title track after that was a tune that I'd been playing with for a while, and it was written as a two-piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just sounds totally different now. And then Matt came up with Fill Your Mind, and
That was more like a
584.
jam we
Yeah.
did together with Robert.
I think Kill Your Mind was probably the only song.
We all
Probably
we
all
all
equally
really
built that
pulled on
song.
that one.
You came with that little lick for 5 and 4.
Yeah,
Um,
that one's probably the most.
I mean,
Eclectic.
we all came up with. I mean, each of us came up with something on every song,
Yeah,
but it usually starts out as someone's like kind of basic idea, and then it
Yeah,
just
jump on and
evolves
work on
into
it.
usually something completely different. We don't even you won't even recognize the song after we're done just messing with it and changing things and putting different parts here and there.
Yeah.
So it's really fun actually. I really like that style of writing.
well,
I think it's a good style and it really works for us, I think.
Yeah, I've been really pleasantly surprised working with everyone in this group because everyone's so flexible and willing to try different ideas and stuff. Especially when it's like your own idea. A lot of times you get it out and you're like, I just want it this way. You know, you don't want anybody to touch it. But I think all of us are equally pliable or open
Open-minded.
to open-minded, open to other people, you know, fucking up your stuff basically. And it's really fun to work with that like ego-free zone, you know.
yeah. And it's fair to say that even if any of the tracks had been like written or conceived of before, they all end up completely different with a piece of everybody in them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's really kind of a cool thing to go back and listen and be like, oh, that was his part. That this is, you know, where this came in. I remember when that was written, and you know, this sounds totally different than it did before, and it sounds awesome. And then you kind of come up with our own cohesive sound rather than just hearing one person the whole time, and it's really a fun process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even live, we play songs live now. I mean, we're still changing them up.
Yeah.
Which is still fun to do. Keeping them fresh for us. And
I'm a huge fan of just improvising and kind of in the moment thing, whatever you're feeling. So I love that kind of stuff. I listen to that kind of music. So.
Yeah. Yeah, the sort of like jam band approach, and that to me, like, I don't know, as someone who's gone through a modicum of musical training, that to me is like, well, that's of course how it should work, but I've come to realize that like not everyone gets that training, not everyone understands that ensemble music is sort of everyone should contribute. Because I've talked to a lot of people. I played in some country bands, and country is sort of notorious for, country.
Some countries.
Well, and some country music it's one of those things, and it's the thing I'm thinking about is not necessarily distinct to country, but it is something I noticed heavily in that way. Like, there's one dude who pretty much writes the music. He'll write he or she will write the song, like the lyrics, the chord progression will kind of fit his style, and then you have a drummer that plays one of 3 patterns. You have a bass player that plays one of 3 patterns.
Sounds like fun.
Well, and some people really like it.
Very
like,
formulaic.
It is formulaic, and it's for those cats that are out there like pouring their soul into their songs, and then they're like, okay, I sing in this way, I have this feeling in this style, and I want a band behind me. And some dudes like, you can make a living doing that. It's
it's not bad. Not bad. I mean, something like this, it's good. If you're in a place and you want to just listen but not actively watch, for instance.
I couldn't, like, as a musician, I could not be part of that. It's not creative enough. Like,
well, I also feel like it's pretty traditional too. You think about like folk music, like I'm talking, thousands of years ago, people played music. It was folksy and it was all the same. Celtic music sounds the same, for instance. Mexican music all the same. French music all basically the same.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
bored, man.
and that's what. Well, that's
it's
what.
kind of just like that. It's traditional, but it might not be as exciting because now we have so many different genres that have so many different things going on now.
Some people are into that.
Yeah.
Well,
if it works for you, I'd say do it.
And that's sort of the idea. Is like, especially, I mean, we're in Texas, and there's a lot of people that like country music, and there are people that are fine with being in a band where one dude is required, one person. I'm gonna say dude, and people know that I'm like hyper feminist. It's not a gender thing.
Wow, I'm offended right now.
The idea is that like one person is sort of responsible for all of the creativity, and the other people are just like, a backing track, and that's fine because that takes a long time to hone those skills to become.
Right.
A good country drummer is pocket 100% of the time. No one cares about your fills, no one cares about your flash or how big your drum kit is. You need to have kick on 1 and 3 and snare on 2 and 4.
Phil Rudd should have been in a country band.
Huh?
Phil Rudd, he should have been in a country band.
No.
That's the hardest drumming known to me.
Well, it's like there's a box that fits in, and some people feel comfortable inside a certain kind of box. I've discovered that like I don't mind. It's not even the style, but it is the sort of the creative process, and like one of my good friends from college, a dude named Jack Nelson. I played with him for a year and a half or so. Like recorded a record. That was fun. It was super fun. But one of the biggest differences is like, well, in that style, I don't really get to contribute that much. I helped him write, and I think I even have writing credit on 1 or 2 of those tracks on the album, and that was a lot of fun, but like that wasn't the normal thing. That was a random, he happened to come over and we were waiting for something. He's like, hey, I'm playing this song. I was like, try this chord, try this different lyric. And but most of the time, like the drummer is the drummer. And that's why I think, I use the term rock band as an extremely broad idea. Rock band can be a lot of different things. I always used to say that I consider myself a rock drummer just because I wasn't a country drummer or I wasn't, specifically a Latin drummer. But really, and I think this band is a good example of like, play every style that you've ever heard. Try it, get it wrong, and then take that and bring that into it. And that we
Get
all
it wrong and don't change it.
Yeah.
Well, like for example, when we're like, say we're all jamming on something like reggae, a reggae tried and true bred artist might come and be like, "That's not reggae," but it's close enough for us to be like, it's relatable to it in that way. But that's one of the things that I think I was looking for as an artist as is to bring something different and actually be able to contribute. I'm like, we'll just jam. Like any one of us have just started jam, and then we all kind of fall in. That's awesome. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for that, and why I like talking to bands, is like that's something that should be present. If you call yourself a rock band or an indie band or whatever, everyone should kind of be contributing as much as they feel comfortable doing so. Unless you're really in country music, you kind of can't. Kind of it. Everywhere else should be a sort of collaboration. And so to that's to me is a segue to like, what do you guys listen to? I find myself not listening to a lot of like music anymore just because I'm trying to find my own style, but that's some of my classical composer thing. But I'm curious, like, what do you guys listen to? What influenced you to play and write what you do?
For me, I grew up listening to classic rock,
Mm-hmm.
so I pretty much want to listen to that for probably through high school. And then started getting into different genres in college. Never really got into metal, never really got into country, but I mean, I've listened to more like classic rap and hip hop now.
Mm-hmm.
Disco music, I kind of like that too. And I was in a band for. Hey, it's all right, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Every once in a while, I'm not like gonna listen to disco like all the time. But yeah, throw a disco song in there, and it's like all right. Like they got the strings in there and everything. It's kind of a neat genre. And like I was in band in high school and college too. So I mean, I listen to classical music every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I began to appreciation for like 40s music because it's the last real decade of just no guitar. Really, it was just all band instruments.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. Prog rock, kind of neat too. I know I said I don't really get into metal, but like Dream Theater is kind of a cool band.
Yeah.
They're technically great.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fun to listen to. So some of that's been kind of I've been trying, like when I think of song ideas and stuff, I try to pull influences from all of that. And it helps with this band is we have songs that have a few different genres mixed in together.
Yeah.
And it keeps us from being static, I think. I think all music's good, so I try not to be stuck in one genre, like I was for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I love a lot of stuff that's a little weird, not too mainstream. I'm not trying to be hipster, but that's just what draws
You just
me.
are.
I like that stuff before it was cool.
We're five dudes in a band talking to a microphone at a table.
Some of my biggest influences probably, obviously, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mhm.
I think a lot of you guys can hear that in my style of playing. Take a lot of influence from them. I love their music. Their older stuff, though. Their newer stuff, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Older, funky stuff, even back to the 80s, where Anthony Kiedis is rapping. I think that stuff's really cool. Frank Zappa, huge influence on me. He's just insane and a musical genius. And he's super comedic in his style of writing. So I try not. I guess learning from him is, don't take things too seriously in music because at the end of the day, it's just music. So he's having fun with it. He writes all sorts of genres of music.
Mm-hmm.
Ween is another band I really like because they write different styles of music. So I think that's one of the things like I would love to contribute to the band is just different kind of styles, not be defined by just one genre of music.
Yeah.
So those are some of my biggest influences, I think. And ska. I love ska. I could listen to that all day. I was in a ska band in high school and it was so much fun. Just really upbeat music. And I like playing upstrokes. So.
I've been listening to that more too. Yeah, you're on pretty good strokes, man. That's crazy.
That's how I learned, man. I just listened to Streetlight Manifesto and Real Big Fish in high school. Just practice their songs all day, and you just get good at it
Doesn't
after a while.
Streetlight always say they're not ska?
They can say whatever they want, but there's a lot of ska influence at least.
I
So.
agree.
Well, did you listen to You know, you ever heard of the band Driver Friendly or Driver
Mhm.
F? I think they're Driver Friendly.
Yeah, they're from the Woodlands.
Yeah, I marched with some of those dudes, like, and that's cool. And that what you're saying, some of your influences to me, and you guys can comment on this, are like Frank Zappa is kind of a mad scientist a little bit, I think, and he's one of those people where it's like it's kind of hard to say. I think, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to put him into a genre box. I love that.
Yeah,
That's what I want. Like, I don't want anyone to say, "Oh yeah, that's a," unless they're like super trying to get super specific. Like, yeah, that's a alternative rock band. What
I
is that
mean,
band?
each album you listen to by him is just different style of music. He'll do Latin. I mean, he'll do jazz.
Yeah,
You'll hear some metal influence,
Yeah.
some funk. I mean,
Robert
he's all
DeRosa
over the
stuff.
place. It's amazing. I just love his work, and I haven't even broken the like plane on. Because he has so many albums. He has
He
like
has, like, over
90. He has like 90 albums.
Yeah,
I
90,
think.
yeah. He's got a lot.
I looked it up once, and it's just too many albums to listen to. But maybe one day I'll get there.
yeah. So that's you know, the mixing of genres is cool, and I'm curious to see like what else are we listening to?
So for me, my love for music. For me, my love of music started when I was about early high school. My dad introduced me to classic rock, and I got really into it. For that Christmas, I asked, I only want CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got CDs from all kinds of people: Van Halen, AC/DC, Aerosmith,
So what did you listen to
all the
before
regular
that?
stuff. My mom used to play country in the car, and so
Oh, poor kid.
I would listen to that, and so I know some of the old stuff, but I definitely am not a huge fan of country.
You two had a lifelong love of country.
Yeah, yeah. And from there, I just kind of grew. I was always more intrigued and into the rock, the heavier music.
Mhm.
AC/DC was my absolute favorite.
Sure.
I still love AC/DC. And
AC/DC is good, just like,
yeah,
just
it's
good
stock
solid
rock.
rock.
It just it gets you pumped up and having fun. I mean, there's nothing
I
like
loved AC/DC.
great, but
even
it's
the new
fun.
stuff, man. This is like I have black guys listen to them all the time now, man. It's,
I
there's some
tried,
good
man. I
songs
tried
on
to get
it.
into them. I could not.
Oh, that gives that. I have a caveat about that.
And then after that, my interests got a lot heavier. I started listening to a lot of metalcore for a while, late high school, early college,
Mhm.
and so a couple of my favorite bands. You know, I'd go through phases like I'm like really into this band, and then it'll kind of change. I'll be really into this band, and I'll kind of change. So it comes in ebbs and flows. Like I'll listen to new stuff, and I'll be like all one artist, and then I don't listen to stuff very often. I'm kind of in one of those ebbs right now. I'm not listening to a whole bunch of stuff, but I have to say some of my most favorite artists have been AC/DC, Disturbed, War of Ages, Incubus, Animals as Leaders.
Mhm.
There's a lot of heavy stuff in there,
Yeah.
but I've never necessarily always played heavy stuff on the guitar. So when I started playing, it wasn't, oh, I'm going to go and learn this song. It was always, I just kind of want to diddle around and write some new stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't have any musical background at all. I just kind of played stuff until I picked up general shapes and feels and kind of developed a little bit of an ear for it. So I get a lot of help from these guys when it comes to kind of composing some stuff. But I've always been super interested in weird sounds, and I think most of us here are really intrigued by guitar effects in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But one of my favorite things growing up was I'd find a guitar effect that just had no semblance of anything. It was just weird, and I'd be like, "What can I do with this? What can I make sound kind of cool with this?"
Yeah.
And so I just kind of played that way. And so I do draw a lot of influences from heavier stuff, but at the same time, a lot of it is just from effects that I've remembered I played with before.
Mhm.
You could do this kind of thing with this effect and kind of use that to maybe do something new with a different effect.
That's the cool thing about being in a 5-piece. Like you have room to experiment with that, and like if there's a melody we need that still can be played somewhere, and that's awesome. And that I sort of keep a running list of different topics we can go down, and that's I've got a few from them. But that's cool, you know, the experimental sound thing, and that's just if someone were to go and like write every band that we mentioned, they'd be like, dude, you guys listen to everything. That's cool. I thought it would be that way, and that to me shows in our sound as a band and like in our individual sound. And to me, I hope that comes off as a compliment. Like everything we listen to informs what we do, in a sophisticated way. I mean, there's obviously a talent component to it because anyone can kind of emulate, but it takes to me, it takes talent to synthesize and create something new with what you've learned, what you've listened to. Cool. So, Brad, what are your favorite?
I was gonna get away with this.
Yeah, I was really nervous about this.
That's great.
Because,
What are your favorite bands?
I'm with you right now. I'm kind of in a lull. I'm not really sure what my biggest influence right now would be.
Those Nickelback, man. Love that band.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Chad
Nickelback
Kruger is
is
a
a
See,
dog.
everyone bashes on them, but I feel like it's just this group hate. Like, why? What's so terrible about them? Like, maybe their music isn't the greatest, but like,
Photograph.
there are worse.
Look at this graph.
There's like, I am sure there's like worse shit out there. Like, I know like, what's that one song? Rockstar, right?
I think it's because everyone's jealous.
There's
That's
like some
a
satire in
huge
there.
part of it.
There's satire in there.
Yeah.
They make bank. They're doing something right, you know.
There really is
like,
nothing that wrong with
Yeah.
Nickelback. It just became very popular to
Yeah,
hate them
exactly.
for whatever
And,
reason.
like, I don't-
Everybody jumped on
As
it.
a
Was
group
fun.
think, I don't know, but they're not my favorite band either, though. But I
I
don't
honestly
hate
think
them.
everyone bashes on them because like they sound like a basic band. Like
Yeah,
why did
they
they
do
make it big?
sound
But the fact that
basic.
they did make it big
That's
is like,
probably why
man,
they sound fucking basic.
like, if they could do it, I should be able to do it. But why can't I do it?
So like the pumpkin
There
spice
you go,
lattes
there
of
you
the
go. That's
alternative
why.
world.
Oh, that's perfect.
I like that theory, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nickelback is pumpkin spice.
Oh my god, dude, it is.
I'm gonna take a moment later just to let the gravity of that sink in because that's
pretty good.
that actually hurt a little bit.
Because pumpkin spice lattes are fantastic.
What Nickelback is too.
But Nickelback.
I can like name some like
Sure, favorite band, huh?
groups, I guess. Like I know Radiohead has been huge.
I never listened to that, man. People
I-
keep pointing them out.
I really like them because I mean I tried them out like when I first started going to music school. Everybody was all about them, and I was like, what the fuck is up with this band? And I tried it, and I hated it. But then I took some like classes on like music appreciation, and then like this music technology course. They did like a history of electronic music.
Yeah.
So they made us listen to all this like avant-garde stuff
Mhm.
and you know Johnny Cage and a bunch of like the old school dudes.
Yeah.
And you know there was some real weird shit that we had to listen to, and I started to. They made us break it down and analyze it, so I started to really get it after that.
Yeah.
And understand it as a texture and a color, and instead of like this isn't a note, you know,
Mhm.
I don't get it. But so that's where like my love for effects came from. So then when I started to listen to Radiohead again later, I really dug it because of all those effects. I also really liked the Mars Volta.
Mhm.
They're like one of my favorite. They're fucking crazy and they have some really cool effects too.
Mhm.
And then Led Zeppelin was probably like my first. I fucking love this band.
They're the greatest band of all time.
Yeah, that's
That's what
what
made me
felt
pick up
for
the
a while.
guitar. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Those riffs.
And I don't know. When I was a little kid, my parents listened to like oldies. Like that's all we ever listened to.
Mhm.
Fucking the Beach Boys
Sure.
and the Beatles, Elvis. My mom was a singer in college, and she loved Barbra Streisand. So we have this Barbra Streisand fucking album, and I used to listen to that Christmas album all the time. But yeah, I guess I was into ska for a while, like Matt. And then bands like Incubus and 311, I fucking loved them in like late middle school, and high school,
Mhm.
high school. Brand New was huge
Yeah.
in middle school. I love that band, and that's a lot of harmonies. I think
Mhm.
learning how to harmonize and how to hear them and isolate the different voices.
Right.
Brand New and 311.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I don't know what else to say. Right now, dude, I love. Have you heard of Esperanza Spalding?
Uh-uh.
You need to listen to her, man. Yeah, write it down because
Write that one down.
she's phenomenal.
Homework
She's
assignment
a bass player,
coming up.
but she's also the vocalist.
Okay.
And I forget which album it is. I think it's called Esperanza. That one, the piano is phenomenal. Whoever that piano player is, I looked him up. I forgot his name though. But like everything he does, it's like these clusters, but it mimics like other stuff that's going on in the music, and it's so subtle and like understated, but it's fucking beautiful. And then Roy Hardgrove, that's a good group. He does RH Factor is the group, I think.
Okay.
But Roy Hardgrove is the trumpet player, and they put like effects on shit. Pretty sweet. But more about them. Most recently, at least. Maybe
Yeah.
not like right now.
Well, and that's a thing. And I think if you're doing it right in this day and age, where infinite music is accessible for very little money and very little effort, you should probably have a different group you're listening to every week, every month. So, you know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I am. I have there's one topic I have before we can sort of segue to another. But that's cool. And one of the topics that I like when I talk about this kind of thing is enjoying a group or a song or a genre versus simply respecting it. And actually, I took some heat a few weeks ago when I told some of my friends that I didn't like the Beatles. Now, like it's whatever because they've been around for a long time. They're not like the only band on the planet anymore. But there's a few bands, and I don't want to get on my high horse and list the bands that I don't like but I respect. I will just stay with the Beatles as I respect what they did for music. Like there's no denying they changed the entire makeup of the musical world. And a lot of their music is very good. It's just not my personal. I don't enjoy it necessarily, but like that it changed the world.
Well, you're not allowed to have a fucking opinion unless it matches mine. So.
God, if
What's your
everybody
opinion
just
on
thought
the
that, the
Beatles?
world would be such a better place.
Everyone does think that shit, man. No,
Well, I'm curious that
I like that train of thought. Like, you don't have to like everything. I mean, to me, it's like just because other people like it, but like you can totally respect something further than another band. You know, like Queen. Like, I don't like Queen. I've never liked them. I tried to get into them just like AC/DC, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And you know what? They do a lot of great things. They like have these big long pieces that like move different places, and it's really cool. But I just don't like it.
right.
You know.
You don't like lighthouses, you suck. Lighthouses rule.
Well, I'm going to see Queen in August, so fuck you, buddy. I'm going to
Doyle
be sending you
rules.
video after video of them playing, and you better watch all of them.
Well, do you guys have any thoughts about the like respect versus enjoy
It's
phenomenon?
metal. Like I have friends that love metal. My friend Avery, I think it's his favorite genre right now, and he's always getting me to try to listen to metal songs. Like every time I see him, he just plays nothing but metal in his car, and he actually made me respect that genre more. I mean, I still don't really like it that much. Like I never just choose to listen to it. To me, it's just too much. There's no musicality in my opinion, but the technicality in it though is what I respect from it.
Yeah.
I mean, just some of these breakdowns and like the rhythms that all the instruments and drums included are doing the same thing, same amount of spacing between the notes. It's just like everything's perfectly in time. It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not for me.
Yeah, you can do anything with a computer in the studio.
That's true, but I mean, even the early
I'm
metal,
just kidding, man.
early metal. Okay, so back at the early metal, like Judas Priest and stuff. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I'd have trouble playing that myself. I'd have to really practice that. But I mean, it's not really a genre that I like that much.
I'm really glad that you brought up that you're not necessarily in love with the Beatles because I never grew up on the Beatles and I don't like the Beatles that much. They've got some good stuff, but I don't think they're all that in a bag of chips which everyone else does. But my wife, that's her favorite band.
Yeah.
She's just like absolutely appalled that I'm not in love with the Beatles and that anybody doesn't love the Beatles. It just like blows her mind.
I mean, there's
But
good stuff. But
it's just kind of. I'm just glad that I found someone else.
yeah, like Beatles have like a. To me, they have the early stages like really like if you want to listen to '60s rock, for instance. They're a good '60s rock band to listen to. I mean, sound quality wise, for '60s era, yeah, pretty good sound quality. It doesn't sound too tinny. It sounds somewhat full, and they have harmonies and stuff. And they got that weird like Magical Mystery Tour phase. And I'm just kind of like, And then like Abbey Road, I thought Abbey Road was probably the best album. It sounds more like '70s, which is '69 or whatever when it came out. So '68. But then they had albums like Let It Be, which is just they already broke up at that point, but it's like folky and it's just they have a lot of different stuff. I agree with me. They're not my favorite band either, but they do. I do think they change a lot of things.
So Birdie has a live album, and we listened to it the other day, and it's so hard to listen to because there is someone screaming 100% of the album. It is so annoying.
That's why they stopped.
I know. I completely understand why. There's no way that could have been fun after the second time.
You can't tour anymore because the fans are too loud. They like us too much.
It's just like like constantly throughout the entire album.
One person following him around to every show.
Yeah.
Directly into the monitor.
There must have been Wisconsin. All that moisture.
Well, I think part of what made me think about that is I find myself, playing, and I'll use sort of like the grunge scene as an example. To me, the grunge scene taught me like, not necessarily that I don't need to tune my instruments or play with broken equipment, but what I hear and see as a performer from the stage, I might think, oh well, that was my B string was out of tune, or my kick drum was too low, or I didn't like the cymbal how it came across. But that doesn't matter because maybe that's exactly what the audience needed. If someone someone else listening to it enjoyed it, that's all. And that wasn't just grunge that taught me that. But I played shows on gear that I didn't think sounded good, and people come up to me and say, "Hey man, I really love your drumming." And I was like, "Well, okay, there's a disconnect for me." And like I'm thinking, well, the grunge scene was a scene that didn't sound great. Like some of those cats don't tune their instruments, and that's fine because it didn't matter. They played, people liked it, and that's one thing I took from it, and things like that. I may not like everything that country music has to say, but the way that they say it is very effective, and so that's something that I can take from it. That's the respect I have for country music versus really being able to stomach it otherwise.
It's funny. It's kind of something I was thinking about the other day. Is you look at art over time, and there's kind of a period, just strictly speaking about, like, let's say paintings, and then apply that to other types of art. You kind of go through this period where these paintings and these artists were so skilled at their craft that these paintings look like photographs, right? And then you come across this other age of art where it's just like splashes on a canvas, where it doesn't look like it takes much skill, but it speaks to someone, and that's kind of the beauty of art. But we also live in a day and age where the most talented person, doesn't matter how talented it is, if they don't have an audience or someone who appreciates it, their work isn't really recognized.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have this world of it's popular to be successful. Not to say that everybody who's popular is not skillful, but I just was thinking about it the other day. I just thought it was kind of interesting to think about why that is. And I think that kind of goes along with the lines of you have to have an audience. It has to speak to someone.
Yeah. It takes something different to make it. I think it used to be like you had to have a certain amount of talent, of course, a certain amount of grit, a certain amount of pluck. But now there's like you need something even more because a lot of groups that are talented and write good music and play a good live show, there's a million of those now, and they can all receive the same accord that 20 years ago would have made you a living, but now it's like, oh, you're getting 600 views a month on YouTube. There's got to be a next step to it.
That's like
Do you think that's because of an emotional connection with the work, or what do you think the reason for that is?
I think it's the availability for an emotional connection. On top of the talent thing and the good product, you have to be you kind of have to be a relatable person. You know, this whole rock star persona thing, this holier than thou, bigger than life, I think is kind of going away a little bit. Because since there's so much of that happening, there's so much talent and good music, you have to be able to be like, you know, have a great video where you're like playing the gnarliest solo ever, and then the next thing you see from that person is like, hey guys, I'm an actual person, you know, I eat cookies and stub my toe on my you know, door frame or whatever.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree with that, because I mean, how many new age guitar gods are there that you can name?
Mm-hmm.
The guitar gods that I can name are from, you know, the 80s and 70s and 90s, because they seemed larger than life. But now you have access to so much music, even if they're amazing, like one of the best at what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
They're still just saying, well, he's just a regular guy, he's really good, but I don't see him as like a god that I gotta. We're not worthy, man.
Yeah.
We're not worthy.
Is that just because there's so much more selection?
I think we're just bombarded with like all of this advertising, like from individuals now via social media. So we're just bombarded with it, and we're kind of like all capped off. We're all pseudo immune to it. So now what we're seeing is like more people buying into, you know, they just want to feel like they're a part of something, right? So like, I mean, everybody, you know. So when you see a video now and it's relatable, you're more likely to follow that than if you see like some sick groove, you know what I mean? Like we just fed up with, you know.
I mean, I see videos all the time of guys just killing it
all
on
the time.
guitar,
All the time.
drums, or any instrument,
What
and it's
sets
just
them
that's
apart?
cool. But
What sets them apart now is like,
Do you think it's more like a craft brew market? You know what I mean? Like if you look back then with the guitar guys, they were playing stadium shows. They may not have had so many bands to look at. They had beer or Budweiser and Miller, you know. And now you have New Republic and Eighth Wonder, and you have all these things to choose from. It's not that the sales are decreasing; they're just being spread around more.
Yeah, and I've had that exact thought. Like the whole craft brew thing, like that trend, I feel like is happening in music, which is worrisome for me because, like, you know, trying to make a living now.
I mean, that actually probably connects a lot to what you're saying too. Is that emotional connection? Is when you buy these small things. You like the story behind it. You know, you like to know where it comes from to feel like you're a part of something. So that's probably a lot what you're saying too.
Right? Yeah. Like so we go to breweries sometimes, like, right? And it's cool because it's from where we're from, you know. And it's like it's good shit, not like piss water, and it's a fun atmosphere. So I totally agree.
Cool. That one of the things I'm always curious about people that I have on the show is like. And it sounds, there's a kind of a barbaric way to ask the question, what do you want to do with music? I think as a band, it's cool. I think as a band, we all are aware we want to be a successful band and make money playing music and that kind of stuff. But I'm curious if you guys have any more, I guess, in-depth way to express your goals in music. For example, like, of course, on a practical level, I want to be successful and make money doing it. But I also, you know, and I write stuff that's not in a 5-piece, you know, rock band. I write classical music too, and a lot of that music can move people, can evoke a certain emotion, similar to how a rock band can, but you know, just a different set of people. So one of my goals is to like help people feel something, either good or bad, or maybe something that they've never felt, or something if they haven't felt anything in a while. Like that's one of my goals, is to sort of put something out there that can be experienced. And I'm curious. It's always cool to sit and talk with musicians about like, what are your goals with music?
Well, my answer is going to sound a whole lot more selfish than that answer.
Well,
no, I just play it because I like it. I enjoy it. Yeah, I'd like to one day, you know, make music doing it, but I do it now to be a creative outlet because it's fun. I like being creative. I'm a creative person. I like doing things like that. And the job that I work now, I don't really have much of a creative outlet. So I do this because, honestly, because I want to have fun. You know, it's kind of simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely fun because otherwise, it being a pain in the ass, not making no money in the meantime would do.
Yeah, my job's already a pain in the ass, so I don't make this thing a pain in the ass either. Seeing as there's Taylor, really, I mean, yeah.
John is so selfless.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I mean, I get your thing too. Like,
No, it is-
I know, like when I was in high school and like college, I played in a couple musicals, for instance, and like even playing bass now, I'm never in the spotlight really anymore. So I actually like being in a position where you're accompanying other people and letting them have a good shot at their spotlight. You know, and if it weren't for like the rhythm section, like you and I, for instance, I mean, like, you know, I'm perfectly fine with just vamping in the background and letting these guys do their thing.
Yeah.
And everyone watching them and stuff. Subconsciously, they're also paying attention to us because we messed up and messed everything up.
Sure.
So, but I mean, like in the musical, like it's cool, like playing, and then the drama, you know, the department and the whole crew and everybody, they have a good performance because the pit does a good performance. So they're able to do their thing, and everyone, you know, all the audience likes the whole thing. I mean, they're not really watching the pit, but they hear us. So, I'm not necessarily, I guess, as selfish as Taylor, but it's still basically the same reason. Like, you know, work's boring, but this is fun. So.
Selfish.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I would much prefer to do this as a career, but you know, if it doesn't work out that way, it's still fine. I'll probably keep doing this. You know, I'll retire from work and probably still play music. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. Quit, you guys. From work.
I want to write different styles. Even if it's on the same album.
Harry
Have fun
styles?
with it. Lots of Harry styles. A lot of One Direction influence in my life right now.
I'm supposed to keep a tally of boy band references.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this like
Are
a
they
thing
still
that
broken
you do,
up,
or
by the way? I was heartbroken.
Yes.
does that happen a lot in your interviews?
No, but I was talking with a friend, and she was like,
Is this like a drinking game? Is it a drink?
Oh,
'Cause I'll
if
just
it is, we'll just make
Alright.
sure we include them
NSYNC,
for the rest of the
Backstreet Boys,
Yeah, it was more of a boys'
New
to
Kids
men
on the
guy.
Block.
Dude,
Block.
boys.
New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block.
98 degrees.
What?
LFO.
That's some
Make
hipster
the
shit right there, man. Smash Mouth, a boy band? I mean, they're boys.
I think Hanson would be a boy band.
I don't know what that is. I just know the name.
They're the ones that do that.
No, I know that one song.
Oh yeah,
I
well
didn't
that's
know
that's,
that.
that's
That
the
is
only
them.
song they ever sang.
That
I've never
is
seen
them.
them though, so I don't know if it's a boy band, you know, or like they have instruments.
They actually play instruments. They're actually pretty
Does that
good.
mean they're not a boy band if they play instruments?
I don't know. I don't know what the line is. There's no. I don't know.
Wouldn't we be a boy band? You know?
Are the Beastie
We're
Boys
a men
considered
band.
a boy band? I mean, they
What
have
would be
man
boys
bands?
in their name.
Are they? Yeah. That's a great question. What does it mean?
They are boys.
That is a great.
It's in their name.
They don't play instruments, so.
Oh, also
Yeah.
Jackson 5.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were literally
The boy band.
the boy band.
Yeah. Little boy.
What about Beach Boys? Man,
Here we are talking.
too soon, man. You know, Michael Jackson's Thriller album, for instance, I never listened to that album. Like, I've heard Thriller.
Yeah.
And I've heard Billie Jean. But, like, I bought that vinyl probably like last month in Old Town Spring. There's a record store there. I bought it there. It's a pretty damn good album.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's the best selling album of all time. Like,
Such an Alex.
I know, but I mean,
to say.
it's one of those things where, like, I never
What's
listened
the
to them.
reason,
and-
then?
What's the reason? What, for what?
You said there's a reason.
I did?
The reason
Oh,
is you.
well.
Give us 13.
Is it was down as a boy band?
Why?
Yeah.
I would like to refer listeners to my episode, pretty much dismantling and destroying 13 Reasons Why. There's a little side reference there.
Down the road. Or across the street.
Let's move on. That would well, okay. Does anybody else see what were we on? Musical goals. Anybody? I mean, have anything
Unless it's on.
different?
I'm between both of you guys, I think, because like, I want to express, you know. So like that has to do with creativity, but it's also a little bit inspiration, you know. And I think like, yeah, that kitty wants to play.
He likes to bite
I
my hand.
never know. if
There
it's
is an
fine.
actual cat in this room right now. In
There is.
case you
He's
guys
orange.
listening wonder.
Is he biting John's hand?
It's an orange cat. Orange cat.
Because
is
Matt
little.
fucks with him too. That's not the cat. That's Taylor.
It just
That's
jumped
He's
on
people-
John
He's terrifyingly
and bit
accurate.
his shoulder.
He bit it off. He's got
His shoulder is off.
He's a nice guy. You guys just gotta stop messing with him.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. That's why he's like that.
He is kind of staring at me, though. Like he's gonna bite my shoulder off. Anyway,
Kind of looks like Puss in Boots.
Brad, you were talking about expression.
Oh yeah, so like on the band side of things, like creative, it's
Mhm.
creative outlet. I need that. And then I teach saxophone in the daytime,
Mhm.
and that's like, a goal there is like, teaching, like beyond music though.
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Get him life
I don't
lessons
want to
along
have
with saxophone
yeah,
lessons.
exactly. Like I don't want to be in the room with some kid 30 minutes a day or a week for a year, and then be a shitty fucking person after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
of course.
but I think so like music for me is that's my goal is to express. And I guess like maybe inspire in the classroom, and maybe expression can be inspirational or whatever.
Well, it's good. It's sort of twofold, and I could talk for literally weeks about education, music education specifically. So I'm right there with you. A little bit disenchanted with it at the moment, just because summer music lessons,
Yeah.
But that's sort of a good segue into my next thing. I really just have kind of two more big things to talk about, and we can go down whichever roads. Kitty cat.
Cat's head for Mike.
Say something.
I'm giving up on you.
Say something. I'm giving up on you. Right there.
That's Matt, not the cat.
That was the cat.
This cat still hasn't done anything.
Cat and Matt.
What a
That's
big
me.
disappointment.
That cat is so turned on.
Hey, come here, buddy. Come here.
He's whipping that tail. He
That
looks
cat
like
is
this.
like
like a
seriously
dog.
wags that tail like a dog. I think it's so cool.
Wow, I didn't notice that until now.
I've never seen a
I
cat
feel
with
like
a tail
he's just
that
always
much.
pissed off.
Oh, look at that butthole right in Brad's face.
Look at that ass.
That's Lou's butthole.
All right. So a big thing that's sometimes it comes up just by nature of just lay down. It's fine. The cat just lay down on my notepad. It's fine. I'll
All right.
I never
F your
know what
notebook,
cat's
bro.
thinking.
You can't get no respect.
No respect at all. I'm always interested in what I've started, and I don't know why I've started calling it this, and it actually kind of hurts my soul a little bit, but I'm interested in hustle. Like what? Some of you guys you guys have full-time jobs, and I am doing the part-time thing, getting ready to go to grad school, so like I haven't really started my full-time career, but I'm curious, what you guys, I mean, I kind of know, but listeners probably are interested to know, like, what do you guys do for your full-time job, your living, and how does it sort of relate, if it does, to music, and how do you kind of balance stuff? I think that's always interesting to hear.
Taylor and I are both engineers.
Nerds.
boring.
Nerd alert.
Matt's an accountant. He just fucking
He
counts
just
numbers all day.
That
He
is
just called
not a
other people
nerd thing.
He's a fucking accountant.
That is not a nerd thing. No.
I teach saxophone, so I fucking stay broke.
Yeah, accounting doesn't really relate to music at all, but I at least get to listen to Spotify all day
Sure.
while I do tax returns for a living, so it at least helps me
Is it
listen to new stuff all day. So
taxing?
Hear the cricket noises, man.
We left you some.
You get your
space to
soundboard,
edit.
man.
Well, no, so
That was good.
so you guys with full time sort of like big kid jobs. I hate calling them that, but do you find that having something that's not music as a money making profession, do you think that helps you as a musician, like take it out of the need to do it mode into the want to do it mode?
I can definitely attest. So I'm in another band, and I'm not the singer in that one. And those guys, Rogues Among Us.
Rogues are among them.
So those guys are all in a kind of similar situation to myself, where we're like not having professional career jobs. The most professional career job that one of us has is like a manager of a Whataburger, and like he makes a good living. And I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying that, like, a couple steps between that and engineer or accountant. So the environment in those rehearsals with that group and the environment in our rehearsals with this group is very, very different. So I can definitely say that it has a huge impact on how rehearsal is treated, how the music itself is treated, and beyond that. That's actually one of the things I enjoy about like this group, is they don't fucking take everything so seriously,
Yeah.
And Rogues really does, but that's neither a bad or a good thing. It's just very different.
Yeah.
And part of what I like about this
Yeah.
group, but
Y'all are a little more technical.
it's different. It's
Y'all
a
need to be
totally
a little-
different genre.
A little more serious about it, I think.
But
The different genre, Matt.
it's not as tangible. You know what I
Well,
mean? So
that is part of it, I want to say that, like,
or approachable maybe is a better word. But
ubiquitous, universal. And I agree, they're very different styles, and so that sort of lends itself. But I think the environment of those two groups, Rogues versus Zero Detail, is, Rogues is putting out something. I think, like, we're gonna sell this. This is gonna be our live product. We're gonna make money, support ourselves on. Maybe not. If not this, then that's sort of the end goal. I think for a Zero Detail, we don't necessarily need to think of it that way. If we never sell a record, the engineers and the accountants are going to eat just fine. But I will say I've also sort of felt that personal, like, oh man, like, if we don't play this show this month, we don't get those fans, I don't eat next month. I'm sort of in the same boat as the professional musicians, which is like I said, it's not a good or a bad thing. I think if you're working, even if it's part time or contract work, working is working, and you're still trying to make it happen. But I think that's an interesting point, and that is a good place to go for people listening, because, like, I'm in a band. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should quit my full-time job and do music full-time, try to make money at that. Or I'm working 7 part-time jobs to try and make this. Should I just try and make music work? I'm curious again what you guys with the regular jobs kind of think about that environment. How music plays that role for you guys?
I mean, for me, it makes it more precious, actually, because, like, work for me is just boring. But it does pay for, food, housing and stuff and everything. It pays for, like, if I want to get new equipment for the band, it pays for that.
not your
It makes me,
me.
yeah, not my base. Yeah, I know. But it makes all that more. I'm more appreciative of it because it's not work.
Yeah.
So I feel like I enjoy more. I'm not so worried about, like, it doesn't become work. For
Right.
me. We were saying earlier about people would, like, say they were professional musicians, they don't have a ton of money, and, like, if they don't play this gig, they're not gonna eat tomorrow, for instance. I mean, you can still enjoy it, but when you have, like, in my situation, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry in it.
Yeah.
There's probably a whole different feel when you're up on that stage between the two people.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel anything but
Less pressure.
absolute joy when we're up there.
Mhm.
It's just such a freaking blast.
Yeah.
That Darwin show, I had
Yeah,
so
man,
much fun.
It was badass.
Yeah, you even got off the stage and went out.
Yeah, you made some people chug their drinks.
That's right.
That was cool.
That was cool.
That was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons. I think maybe one of the cons is that maybe you're not putting 100% into it, but at the same time, it allows you to provide a lot more things to the band. And it makes the whole process more fun, and it makes it more enjoyable,
It also
and it
prevents
provides a lot more for the band.
it also makes things more fluid.
Yeah.
Decisions they're not so weighty.
They're not so
Yeah, I was gonna
crippling.
say we don't rush
We-
into things as much because we can take more time to do
Actually,
it. Decide.
what happens is the opposite. We don't worry as this group. We don't worry about decisions so much that it puts pressure on us, and then we don't make the decision.
Yeah.
We just make a decision because it's not going to change. It's not going to be the end of the world for us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cooler that way. Like, yeah. I mean, maybe it
No,
doesn't feel like things are made quick, but I'm telling you, man, the difference is like huge. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think being able for if at least most of the band is looking at a given decision at face value and not putting some sort of
Extra weight.
yeah, it's that extra weight, and even for people who are pro musicians, there's a time where like some people do that, like this is my work, I'm going to be a professional musician. I do sort of feel like that's true. Like I could say that in so many words, but that's not what I feel. Like if I didn't have a blast doing it, I wouldn't be able to put up with the stress of I got to play this gig or I won't eat. Because some people are that way. They're making plenty of money playing music, but it's still just like a boring day job to them. And so that's kind of what I thought, and that's the vibe I sort of feel is like this is fun, but to me that speaks to y'all's dedication to your art, because you don't have to be good at your instruments. There's nothing in it for you other than being good and having what comes from that. If you sucked and the band fell apart, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't suck and it gets better, and like that's cool. That to me means something.
Damn.
I actually wonder if it'll get to the point ever, like, say if we do get successful and like, we get invited to play like at a festival or something, what we have to do those become more frequent, for instance, where it starts putting pressure on us, like,
Then John's gonna kick us all out and
Oh,
replace
yeah.
us with better.
I mean, duh.
I have no. I've never kicked anybody out of anything. I try to be very easy. Okay, well, so let me see what else we're gonna do. I like to have my pretty pink notepad that I mention in every episode. It says cat on it.
Is that also like a drinking game? Every time that you mention the pink notepad, you go take a shot.
I
It
don't
is
know.
now.
So I don't want to be like
For those of you listening, here's a couple of tips for the next time you listen to this podcast to make it more fun.
There needs to be a.
Guess what color John's hat is?
Oh, that's
All right, take
It's a
5
good-
seconds to
we
think
should-
about it,
We should reveal it in the next episode, or at the end of the episode, maybe. I don't
or right now, and if they get it right, they have to drink, and if they get it wrong, they have to drink too.
know. Okay, there you go.
The hat is green. It's a green-blue.
Yeah, dude,
Which is
guess that.
It's kind of in between. What,
It is
John?
kind
What
of-
is it?
It's kind of
It's like an aqua?
dark,
Aqua?
dark,
Yeah,
teal.
It's
all
dark
the
teal,
same
maybe.
thing.
yeah. We'll say it's greenish,
like
bluish.
green with little blue spots, maybe.
Is it green blue or blue green?
Is it yellow?
Let's agree. If that's the color of the hat, is
It,
objectively not yellow. Just think of it that way, and that'll help you.
It's not pink.
it looks like a blue and green version of white noise when you change the channel on your TV and it comes up with that black and white
The
dots.
snow.
The
Yeah,
snow.
snow. What is that? What you call it?
What it is called? Not what I call it. It's called snow.
I'm right there
He
with them.
explained
I saw
that
it,
to
I was
you
like, hey,
real good.
white noise.
I'm going to learn today.
It's green noise.
That's what it looks like. It's green noise. Green blue.
It's a cool band name.
Green blue noise.
You know what else? You know what else is a really cool band name? Zero Chaos.
Oh golly, that's a deep cut. And if you want to know the story to that, you can just ask. It's not that
Or you
big.
can come to our next show and we'll tell you about
Come
it.
to our next show and we'll tell you about it. Or we'll just.
Oh, we'll tell you.
Hmm.
For $5.
So the last, I don't want to say it's a topic necessarily. I think a very important person for all of us is Joanne, and I think the role of a manager, momager, whatever her role is, and I
She's
think
basically just our mom.
Yeah, pretty much.
sorry to all our actual moms, but Joanne has stepped in, and you guys probably even didn't know, or maybe aren't aware of how before I actually joined, like how much I was talking with Joanne and catching up. I went to school with Joanne up at Sam, and we knew each other vaguely just through like music, Greek life, and marching band and stuff. But it was really cool to catch up with her, and I'm sure you guys can attest. Like she's a very I guess it really all just go back to like a mom kind of thing. She's a very nurturing person. She listens and reacts really well and is pretty quick to respond. And that's one of the things that I was like, okay, this is cool. And I was talking to her about booking a Carthy show with you guys for the EP release at Fitz, and that's when I sort of reconnected with her. And it was so cool that like one of the things is she was super personable, super friendly, and we caught up immediately. But she was also very professional, and was when I was like, okay, let's talk business. She was like, okay, boom, switch is flipped. Here's all the dates. Here's the times. Here's all the people involved. I'm like, sweet. This is exactly how it should be. There's no room for someone in that capacity to not be at least as good as she is. I'm not saying she's bad, but like any less, I feel like would leave her wanting. And so I'm curious how, and it might be, I'm assuming it's probably through Rogues, but curious how Joanne's relationship with y'all got started before.
I knew her from school too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember. I know we were talking about it, and I know Mark and I were talking about it for Rogues, but Rogues was dragging their feet about making a decision. I was like, okay, let's start a CD.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember which of us got started first with her, but that's about how it happened.
Yeah, I think you just texted one day, hey, I got this friend that wants to do this sort of thing for a living, so she'll do it for free for a little bit. What do you guys think about having a manager? And we're like, all right.
Yep, that sounds pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
Already
what I'm
made
talking
it
about.
big.
Like, that's a pretty big decision that we were just like, let's try it out. Like Rogues really sat on it.
Yeah.
Really sat on it.
I mean, if she was willing to do it for free, at least you could do
Yeah.
your trial period.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and it kind of, to me, it was cool because I feel like having recently stepped away from another project and into this one was an incredibly smooth transition. It could very easily not have been in a lot of ways. Like it could have been personalities grading, or it could have just been times missing. Like could have missed a rehearsal, but the communication was there. That was it was all very by the book. And I think it's cool. I think to sort of zoom out and make it a little bit more applicable, what do you guys think of as far as, and we've talked at length about this, but like having a manager, once you get a band together, once you have a product and you have some practical need for it, what do you guys think about having a manager, someone that's not a musician in the band, sort of taking care of some of that stuff?
I think it's pretty good because we all have ideas, but you can kind of maybe see her as like a moderator in a sense, and she kind of just maybe has a different viewpoint. So we're all,
Yeah.
like we're in a circle right now. Maybe she's just right outside the circle watching us, and then she steps in and gives us further advice on what to do, or kind of helps drive the band. And I mean, but we went through a trial period with Joanne. She's done such a good job, and we're paying her now. So we want to do this with her. And I think we all think she does a great job, and she really helps us out a lot. Does all sorts of things for us.
I think most like people who would like tell you what's best for your band would say that it's really early for us to have a manager, but I think she fills a lot of roles that are a little bit maybe untraditional for a manager, but they're roles that really help us. So I was supposed to be answering your question.
Yeah, no, it does.
I don't remember what your question was now. Whatever.
Well, it's just like, do you think it's a positive thing?
Yeah,
to have?
definitely. Like,
I think it's a positive thing,
especially
for
like scheduling and stuff and booking. None of us want to.
Yeah, that's like, to me, that's like the work part of it. Right?
Yeah.
She focuses on that.
She does the
lets
shitty
us-
work for
Yeah,
us, so
she
we don't
does.
have to.
Mom, give me my spoon. Is that Will Ferrell from?
Yeah.
That's
Is that
Wedding Crashers.
They're gonna do it here.
No, I think everyone is very beneficial. She's also pretty patient too. I mean, she teaches middle school Spanish. I mean,
So it's no different.
Yeah.
We all have the
Basically,
personality.
We also
of
speak
English,
Spanish.
so.
Very poorly. It's like she's teaching us.
Un poquito.
Don't they?
See, I just say un taquito, but that's because I'm fat.
No, we just like taquitos. I think it's for people listening. If you have somebody that you trust, that's more organized than you, then let it be a third party, like making some decisions. And I think, like Brad was saying, like she does some things that are not traditionally manager roles. I think it's also good for that position to sort of evolve. Like, if your manager can be your friend and like be friendly and relatable and not like a busy business person who doesn't ever talk about anything else, I think you should go for that. That's be something that's a positive thing. And hire Joanne. Like,
I would say that something that helped us for sure was after the trial period, kind of sitting down and talking with her and defining kind of what the rules are, because that position for everybody is going to be different, what their needs are. So if we're giving people advice, I would say talk about it amongst yourself before you have someone come on. Figure out what it is you need help with and why, and then try and find someone who will meet those goals and kind of come up with an agreement and an outline before they start working, because that'll help the relationship that you guys have grow and flourish. And that's kind of what we said earlier, is kind of be upfront. But now that we've sit down and talked to Joanne about it all, I mean, heck, even before that, I mean, it was working out great, but we just ourselves didn't really kind of have a clear idea of what we needed or wanted from a manager, and we just kind of had to come up with that on our own. Probably would have been better if we did sooner, but I mean, it still worked out great. And yeah, a manager has definitely been super beneficial, and Joanne's helped us out quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's an important discussion to have, and I think even if somebody has just like a 3-piece, real simple something, and if nothing else, just have somebody to talk to that's not like in your band. It's like having a friend when you have a girlfriend or something. A therapist, I mean, yeah. I'm an advocate, a huge advocate of therapy in general. I think it's important, especially now, to for where we are as a band, to mention Joanne, and that I feel very, very thankful for her, and that she's a big part of the reason why I'm even found you guys. Was able to join up.
I once was lost, but now I'm still lost.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, now we have like.
Yep.
Now we have
Strong words from a strong man.
I was gonna say a drummer. Then I was gonna add more words after that.
Very insightful, Brad.
Tune in next week for more words of wisdom by Brad.
I'll have you on.
You have to be a co-host now.
I'm gonna murder you.
It's a segment.
It's a segment on every podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down.
Use phrases.
So I did. I mean the.
You did
I know.
podcast.
It's
No,
one
no,
of those
just-
things.
What did
just
you do
click
to him,
stop.
Brad?
I don't.
If you hit Alt F4 here, it makes the podcast go faster and more efficient.
You hit Alt F4 on a
Oh,
Mac.
you have a Mac up here. You don't have a real.
Oh,
computer.
they gave it Steve Jobs Black Magic. I
Black
don't
Magic.
mess with that
It's
Apple
on
Witchcraft
his
theory. I
computer.
just
Computer that doesn't crash when I turn it on.
Your X
Magic.
button on the ballot boxes are on the wrong side.
I wanna open the. You know, it's kind of feeling like it's coming to a natural close, and that's cool. These things can go on forever, and I don't. The conversation between bandmates, it shouldn't really ever stop. But for a practical idea, a podcast should be, not the longest thing that anyone's ever happened. Are you going to share with the class? We could have an on-air cookie toast. I'm going to do that.
What did you say? A cookie later, I took a bite.
We're all going to do it. Okay, never mind.
We still do it. You take a bite and then we do it.
I really like cookies.
Right, bitch.
Cookies in, everybody.
I mean, just enough.
You need to make some more cookies, Stevie. Shout out to
Thanks for the
Stevie for
cookies,
making the
Stevie.
cookies.
Yeah.
Y'all wish
She's
you
also
could.
my girlfriend.
Y'all wish you could
She's a pretty cool person.
I mean, it should kind of go without saying if you have a significant other and you're in a band, don't neglect them, if at all possible. If it
Stevie takes really good pictures of us as well at all of our shows. So
Yeah, fuck yeah.
all my
Yes.
profile pictures on Facebook are courtesy of Stevie.
TV does great work, thank you, Stevie. And the cookies are good too. And no,
wait, Matt. I thought you made these cookies.
Yeah, wait. These are from me, you guys. Right, Stevie?
You gotta agree. If you are going to neglect your significant other, at least feed them occasionally. But no, don't leave them come
Every
forward.
now and then.
Wow. I just like
Fly.
that this is a podcast and her voice sounded muffled. And you said, feed them. Like, at least feed them.
If you don't have the visual, Stevie's being kept in a cupboard, and we have granted her one cookie.
Everyone smack real loud for the podcast.
It makes it feel really at home.
I really hate this.
It's actually kind of gross, and I might
Does this make it better or worse, Brad?
Way better.
I might throw
Eat it
a
off your toe.
little compressor.
No!
I sort of wish that didn't happen, and I'm glad
God.
it happened at the same time.
I really love grossing Brad out more than things will gross me out. So
He just ate a cookie between his two toes.
Not yet. He's about to. Now he is.
you make it sound like I only have 2 toes, Brad. I have a full set of normal feet.
He's got 7
What's wrong if
toes.
you didn't?
It's fine. But as we're
Kind of tastes like toe.
descending deeper into
You know
our
what toe tastes?
cookie-induced stupor,
How many toes have you eaten?
Cookies and jam?
I like how we've just completely ignored you.
Yeah,
What you were
sorry,
saying.
You were talking.
I'm sorry. I shocked them. I
it's
shocked
fine.
them severely.
Y'all are gonna be
I've seen
dicks
worse.
on recording. It's fine. It's fine. No, I want to thank you guys for for being on the show, and I think we talked about a lot of really cool stuff, and that I think it helps. I learned a little bit about the band and a little bit more about you guys, and it's really cool to be able to sit down and have a conversation where we're like, eating cookies and then talking about what music means to us, and then talking about petting a cat, and then talking about writing songs.
And eating cookies.
again, eating. So there it is.
That was the theme song.
Yep.
But no, for real, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.